Hey everybody, it's Doug Green and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me RJ Burnham of Consig. RJ, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us on the podcast series furnished by Fornix here at the vCon conference, the first vCon conference as far as I know, vCon 2025 here in Hyannis, Massachusetts. Really interesting program. I'm learning a lot, and we'll get to, you actually presented yesterday, but we're going to be talking in this podcast about voice AI, which is great. We haven't really talked about voice in too many of these podcasts. But first, what is Consig?
So Consig is a company I just founded a year ago. Just as fast background on me, I have spent the last nearly 30 years building voice AI, long before it was called voice AI. Started with building speech recognition systems, going back to, I think the first app I did was for Charles Schwab to let you manage your stock portfolio over the phone.
Wow.
It was rubbish back then. It just didn't really work. But I've always been passionate about this. I've loved technology. And a year ago, I said, you know what? I think there are a lot of unsolved problems in this voice AI space. It is a crowded space. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of buzz and, frankly, a little bit of hype. But I think there's really fundamentally some business problems that are going to be able to finally be solved. And then I think there's some big picture visions of where I see voice AI finally being able to go to over the next 5 to 10 years.
Now, you serve service providers, amongst others, right?
Our focus today is, I'll say, service providers and solution providers that are typically very focused on industries. So most of our customers service a particular segment, maybe the automotive industry or the healthcare industry. And often they are people-powered businesses. What does that mean by that? They have experts in an industry, and maybe they're doing interviews with patients after a healthcare appointment. Maybe they're doing sales follow-up and scheduling for automotive dealerships. Well, these companies, frankly, they understand their business and their industry, and why they're successful is they're very industry-focused. What I'm seeing right now as a trend is there's a lot of voice AI companies that come in and say, well, we can replace a people-powered business purely with software. And maybe while I am a voice AI powered company, I don't actually think it replaces people completely. It empowers people. It can make people more powerful, but there's a lot of industry expertise and a lot of experience that people have built up. And our go-to market and the way we've said we're going to service it is, let's help these companies transform their operations with voice AI. It's an immensely powerful tool, and they can help deploy it as part of their brand, as part of their solution scope, and part of their expertise to serve their customers.
But why is that a step forward? Why would I want to transform my company from people-powered to voice AI, but then retain the professionalism of the people?
So a big thing I see is value creation. Fundamentally, we are going through a tremendously disruptive transformation in how businesses are done. We've never had a situation where technology can displace as many people in the way a business is scaled. And there's a lot of hype and go through it, but we are in a situation where you can now deploy a voice AI agent that can do the job of a $20 an hour call center worker. And it's not just about simple transactions, simple notifications about responses. We can now do interactions like rescheduling appointments, collecting email addresses, doing payments and shipping addresses. Things that were much more complex, dialogue-driven interactions now can be replaced with software, and those in the past always required people. And this is a disruption that's coming to a lot of these companies, is they have to adopt, because the cost basis and the way you operate the business, if you're people-powered, doesn't adapt without making the change to enable these technology tools. And over the next 3 to 5 years, I think companies are going to have to either transform and make this adoption, or they're going to get left behind and displaced by the software first solutions.
And in real terms, because not every company is really a technology company, we're talking about, I suspect, airlines or like the type of company you used to work for in the financial sector and healthcare and so on. What you're really saying, I think, is possibly that you're not going to be as productive as your competitor. You're not going to be able to use the people resources as wisely.
I'll use a perfect example
Yeah.
with one of our first customers. They're in the healthcare industry. They call and do quality follow-up after a doctor's appointment or after a physician interaction to say, did you understand your appointment? Do you have questions about the medications? Do you have questions about the care? This is something that is, frankly, it's an interview. This has always been something that was person powered. And there's a lot of voice AI players that are saying, well, let's just replace that interview with software and technology. Let's come in, we're going to just do that whole interview with a voice bot. And here's the thing, it's not ready yet, but it's going to be very, very soon. And that is coming, and it's inevitable. And if your business was built around servicing those customers with people, and now you have a competitor coming in and saying, well, I'll replace your whole people-powered business with software, how do you compete with that? It's a completely different scale and solution.
Right.
Well, the truth is, you have a lot of experience. And our approach is, let's automate and enable the portions of that process that are best done with technology, and let you leverage your staff and your team to still do the portions of that job that are best served by people.
And that's what your company's all about. You're helping people through that process.
We've built a platform as ability to deliver solutions that are white labeled, that are embeddable in people's operations. So we're not trying to displace the whole solution. We say, listen, you're an expert in healthcare. Let's go empower your healthcare processes. You're not a technology company. You may, you want to, but let's help you make that transformation to being technology powered.
Now, RJ, you made a presentation here at this vCon conference on applications for vCons for voice AI.
Yes, so I have been passionate about vCons for probably the last 3 years. I met Thomas Howe. Well, I've known him for probably 15, 20 years. We've done business through a number of different companies, and he's always been a really bright guy. And I heard the idea of vCons, and I said, this actually solves one of the biggest problems in the space. And one of the biggest frustrations people have with any sort of automated system is the handoff to live people. You go and you talk to an automated system, and then you go and get transferred to a live person, and they have no context, no knowledge about what happened, and they start over. And this is always one of the most frustrating interactions as a person is, I just I gave them my account number, I logged in, I told them what I'm calling, and now I'm talking to person B, and they don't have any of it. It's great amnesia. Well, vCons help standardize and simplify that context of understanding what happened in the agent, whether that's an AI agent or a human agent. When you go to that next person, you can summarize all of that, you can hand it over. That next person starts off with the ground already knowing what's going on, and they don't have to ask you all those questions again. And to me, that's really what the power of vCon delivers, is it makes a better experience between agent to agent handoffs, whether that's human or AI.
RJ, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been very interesting. I know we're just scratching the surface just a little bit, but for now, this has been a good start. Where can we learn more about Consig?
Well, you can find us online at consig.ai, consig.ai. You can find us on LinkedIn, or feel free to reach out. RJ Burnham on LinkedIn as well. Happy to connect.
Thank you very much indeed.
Have a great day. Thanks, Doug.